as you know, we are underneath a global pandemic, COVID-19, and it's been stressing us in more ways than one. Some of us have been negatively impacted by the situation. Some of our employees may have either had to reduce our pay, we've had to work new hours, or in the worst cases, we've either been retrenched or we've been terminated from our job.
Okay, welcome guys. We're here with Shahad. Let's go straight to the meat and the matter. I reached out to you because I need help with my digital strategy, and I know I'm not the only one.
Right.
Tell me, Shahad, what are the tips that we should be doing now?
Right. So in terms of if you are going into a digital media marketing strategy, I think in terms of the points that I can give you is definitely consistency is one. And the other one is quality. So those are 2 points that I want a lot of people to take home is consistency and quality. And the whole idea of developing a digital strategy is to strike a balance between both of them.
And your background for the viewers who maybe didn't know Shahad, what do we tell them?
My name is Shahad Ali, like you said, and I'm a public relations, marketing, and media professional. I wasn't always into communications. My first degree was actually environmental natural resources management with a minor in theater arts. And then thereafter, I actually spread my wings into communications. Interestingly enough, my first vision was to always use theater arts as a mechanism to promote and educate people on the environment. So I guess from the beginning, I was always very much interested in getting a message from one point to the next. So communications has always been a continuous interest of mine, and I've done it for a variety of industries, whether it may be shipping and brokerage, transportation, food and beverage, you name it. I've actually touched my hands in terms of experimenting with communication for those particular industries. So it's been fun thus far.
I read an article that you produced, and it was "Why Are You Employed?" and it was very insightful. It allowed me the opportunity to really examine myself from all levels, and it really reminded me of the main reason of actually doing work and working is to find something that you're passionate about, so it doesn't feel like work. Can you spread more in terms of to the audience here on Mike on the Mic? Give us a little more insight of how important it is to ask yourself the question, "Why are you working?" and then to articulate and be able to follow that dream.
Right. So as you know, we are underneath a global pandemic, COVID-19, and it's been stressing us in more ways than one. Some of us have been negatively impacted by the situation. Some of our employees may have either had to reduce our pay, we've had to work new hours, or in the worst cases, we've either been retrenched or we've been terminated from our jobs. So some of us, we actually are currently employed. We are working from home. We are working remotely. And, some of us will say, well, that's just luck. We're lucky. We're lucky to be employed, and it's not luck, actually. It really has a lot to do with the value that you're bringing to the table. When we talk about our leaders, and when I say leaders who actually lead employees to develop themselves professionally, when you work with them for so long a period and it comes to a time whereby, the sustainability of an organization is unsure, the decisions to retain an employee is really based on strategy and value that you bring to the table. If you play a key role in your organization and you continue to bring value to the table, when you find purpose in an organization that you work for, you would find that it would be difficult for your employers to let you go or to retain you in some form or fashion. Right? It's really all about bringing value. It's not about overworking. And I want to make that abundantly clear. It's not about overworking. It's not about killing yourself out for your job. But it's about when you receive a task, no matter how difficult or how easy that task might be, it is very important that you bring your best foot forward. Try and remain relevant and try and bring value if you happen to be an employee within any industry.
And I think one of the major questions that you have been, that resonated with me was the fact that, Mike, are you an employee or are you career driven? Is there a difference?
Well, to be honest, I straddle both of them, right? I am both an employee and I'm also a part-time entrepreneur, right? Is there a difference? I think for me, the biggest challenge for me is that the value that I bring to my employer is far different than the value I bring to me as pursuing my own career. What what challenges me is that I tend to bring my best, my all-time best for my organization that I am employed for, right? Reason being is because, that's your bread and butter, that's your consistency, that's your seed funding, if you may, if for your own professional endeavors and projects, right? So you would tend to, nurture and take care of your employer, because that is your main and primary responsibility, right? When it comes to my own career development and developing what I have, my brand consultancy called Connective Pros, you would tend to, second guess yourself with it. And when I say second guess yourself with it, you may not think about putting in your all, just on the basis that you're unsure. And what I've realized is that I need to personally take the time to develop my product, my digital product, and my digital services for me to really succeed. So it's important for me that I manage my time effectively to ensure that I get all my deliverables completed, both for my employer and both for my independent endeavor.
And one of the main things that also stood out to me is, from our conversation now, is the fact that career development is an important and necessary to remain relevant. Is one aspect, but how important it is for you as an individual to get the mindset of continuous learning.
Okay, 110%. Every single day when I get up, I always feel like I'm falling behind, and that is the complete honest truth. The reason being is because within our industry of digital marketing communications, it's extremely fast-paced. Things are changing constantly, and yes, I would attribute the majority of that, to the implementation of social media in these practices, because social media is changing every day. So, for example, Facebook recently came out with a concept or a new app called Bulletin, and it's supposed to compete with writing platforms such as Medium, right? And they're going to be bringing on some qualified journalists to start this particular application that is completely independent from Facebook. But what you would find is that they're competing with, the traditional forms of media right now, and that's what Bulletin's supposed to do. In addition to which, year before last year, Facebook came out with this qualification process called Facebook Blueprint, whereby there are 12 courses that you can get qualified in. Now, Facebook is the these courses called Facebook Blueprints are the only ones where you can really and truly get qualified in the practice and use of Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram. So when it comes to that, as practitioners, we need to now find time to actually study these programs, because the tests themselves is actually done via webcam with Facebook themselves before you become qualified, and that's why it's so reputable. Because even though it's an online exam, you're monitored throughout the process. So, is it important? Yes, it is important. Is it necessary? I wouldn't necessarily say that it's necessary, because when it comes to the practice of PR, communications, and marketing, it's all about doing. But the qualifications are important, because your clients, and sometimes in some cases your employers, would want these types of qualifications if it's a specific role that you're going into. So yes, you do need to encourage yourself to increase your personal value by always continuing to learn and grow, despite always feeling like you're falling behind, because that's me every day. Every day I get up and I think I'm falling behind, and that's why I get up with this high level of enthusiasm to always learn and try to learn as much as I can on a day-to-day basis.
You definitely gotta send me those links, because
yeah, it's actually a great mechanism for you to really learn how to utilize the media platforms, and they break down everything from very basic to how to utilize ads, how to test ads, how to run different formatted ads, etc. It goes from A straight down to Z.
And during the pandemic, a lot of people have been, and I've been also, I could proudly say, been trying to access and try to develop and create tools and create learning. But yeah, don't forget me with that link for to be qualified.
A lot of people don't know about it, but I think it's, like I said, I would say it's important. I don't think it's necessary. Again, practice. Social media is a practice. So once you make time to practice and play around with the features that they have on social media, you could learn just based on that, from trial and error. But with the Facebook blueprint, it kind of gives you a lot more guidance, and the course material is free for anybody to access, to be examined. I think the range for the prices for examinations ranges from $49 US to $150 US per course, depending upon what you want to do.
And training has been such an important and integral part of what we do here in Trinidad and Tobago. Also, too, one of the aspects that you've been saying in your article of why you're employed, which I thought was interesting, was also that you put value on education and knowledge if it is that you have a particular mindset, but you don't necessarily need it to be able to hold on a job, which I thought was very interesting. But also, too, during this pandemic, a lot of people are switching to digital. And that's the main reason why I reached out to you. Today, I wanted some advice from Mike on the mic, but maybe we could give the advice to everyone at large, how important it is to get that mindset of switching to digital or even using the digital channels as an integrated part of your business. And what are the steps that you can start taking to be able to be strategic on the digital platforms? Because I myself, I've been testing a lot on Mike on the mic, and to my followers who have been loyal to Mike, thank you for sharing the content. Thank you for engaging with the content. I know I kind of sometimes be all over the place, but I think it's necessary to show the learning process. I want to be able to proudly say on LinkedIn, cameraman to see you, but that's all this advice is part of the journey. How important, and how can we start beginning the process of integrating digital?
Right. So I think, in respect of, if it is, I'll speak in more in the angle of being an employee, right? And if you are currently working from home and you're worried about whether or not, when things go back to a sense of normal, if it is that you will have to return to work on a full-time basis, and whether or not your company or all the companies in Trinidad and Tobago are going to adopt this hybrid form of working, whereby you are required to be in office for a couple of days and you work from home based on a few days thereafter. I always tell myself, especially in the practice of public relations, that Trinidad and Tobago's society is so very unpredictable, and I do not know if Trinidad and Tobago will willingly adopt a hybrid method. But for all intents and purposes, I personally do not see why a corporate organization would not adopt a work from home policy, whereby it allows those who are able to work from home and to continue working from home, just based on the productivity levels that have increased during the COVID-19 pandemic. I would say it's the most wisest choice, right? And if it is that in your organization, it seems that they are moving towards, getting back their employees back in office, well, this is an opportunity for you. This is an opportunity for you to put pen to paper and push forward your proposal. And this is all about bringing value and giving illustrations as to why this may be the best way forward. And you like I said, when there's a problem, I always try to see the opportunity in a problem. So if you are that employee and you are being faced with the potential of returning back to home, at this point in time, you should be documenting exactly what you've been completing on a day-to-day basis, so that you can statistically show what you've been doing while you have been at home as compared to what you have not been doing when you were at work. And maybe those statistics would actually, give your supervisors or your managers, etc., a very clearer impression of what it means to work from home and the value that it brings to their organization. So those are my tips, in terms of what should the employer be doing for really adopting this hybrid method, and what the employee should be doing as well, because you have a role. If you enjoy working from home, if you think digital is the way to go, you have to convince those who hold you accountable that this is the way to go. And you can't just assume that they'll automatically think that it is. It's better that you have it in pen and paper so that you can present your findings. And I think that's the best approach. Yeah.
And as we look to wind down the interview now, what are the tips for developing a proper digital strategy? And where should you attack first? Should you go to Facebook? Should you go to Instagram? Should you go to LinkedIn? There's so many social platforms. A lot of people have been asking, Mike, why are you not on TikTok? Because I don't see myself as a TikTok kind of person.
Yeah.
So what is the strategy? Because obviously you can get eyeballs anywhere.
Yeah.
But if it is, you want to be strategic.
Well, right. So I think a lot, I'll be real honest with you, people use this word strategy so loosely when it comes to talking about communications. But when we talk about strategies, we're not even talking about the platforms just yet. We're actually talking about what is the overarching themes, the overarching values of the organization, right? And that's where you start from. Before you even start to execute, before you even start to think about, all right, we want to do this platform, we want to do that platform, we want to target this age bracket, you really have to start thinking from the bare bones of a business plan. You have your mission, your vision, and your values. And that those statements and those words really needs to transcend into the content that you produce, right? So thinking about your values and how your values reflect on the content that you share is very important. So like, for example, a company or an organization or a brand might say that any item that they put forward must be uplifting, positive, and confident, which means that's the strategy, which means that the content or the tactics that you employ must always have that theme. No negative words must be reflected. It must always be positive. So when it comes down to the strategy, that's the strategy. But when it comes down to the tactics and the daily operations of the business or the brand, it would be considering things like, all right, so we're not allowed to use negative words. We don't use the words not. We don't use the words no. It needs to be rephrased, right? Our content or images need to be positive, So that's where strategy starts from. The strategy always starts from the bare bones of your business. How are you going to express the values, the mission, and the vision of your company through the content that you produce, right? A lot of people think strategy is saying how much times you post. That's not what strategy is. Strategy really has to do with the bare bones of your organization and how these overarching fundamentals feed into everything that you do below that, right? From your sales to your operations to your communications, etc. It really depends on those overarching values. So I'll give you a great reference. If you look at the big companies, let's say Coca-Cola, or you look at companies such as Walmart, etc., and you go to their mission and vision, and you go to their values, right, and you go to anything that actually describes their organization, you would find that is easily mapped to what they put out in terms of ads, advertising, marketing, etc. It follows a similar pathway or a similar theme because they understand that this is their strategy, and the content that comes after that, or the tactics that are produced thereafter, are all related back to what their initial strategy is, and it's all about trying to accomplish their mission and realizing their vision. If that makes sense to you.
No, it does make sense because I have been doing some reading in the background, and I'm glad that you cleared it up for me, because a lot of times people, and I myself was thinking about it in the past, that digital strategy really is portals and posting and that kind of stuff. But that's the framework.
That is the framework. Exactly.
The strategy is clearly what is the message you're trying to communicate and how you're trying to do that too as well.
Exactly. Right.
So Mike probably on the right strategy, because I don't think I see myself as TikTok, and I want to be able to elevate and raise the conversation here in Trinidad and Tobago. I know my audience is small, but hopefully that we could start building and being big very soon.
Let's get rid of the small audience talk, because let me tell you something. If you have one person viewing this show, Mike, you have plenty. Take what I'm telling you. If you have one person viewing your show, it's valuable, right? And that's how I look at it. There are a lot of...
You're making that tear to my eye, bro.
There are a lot of practitioners in Trinidad and Tobago, and if it's one thing I realize in the field of digital marketing and in even video production, once you are able to pitch yourself well, once you're able to present yourself well, there is a lot of the pie for everybody to eat. There's we tend to compete with each other, but the idea is to share with each other and to build relationships. And I'll tell you why it's important to build relationships. You may look at a competitor, right? Might think about one of your competitors who's a videographer, or even going into the business that you're going into.
Well, I'll tell you my unique strategy. I no longer see myself as a videographer. I am the total turnkey system, marketing, video production, everything all in one.
Into everything, right? Which is fine.
Cameraman to CEO tagline.
Exactly. But no, it's very important that you build relationships. Like, let's say, for example, I get a call and, someone wants to do a video production, right? And, you're already establishing a relationship with me. I could say that's a job that I can do now because, I have someone who is experienced in that field that I can call up and say, hey, is it possible that we can work on this project together? Now, if it is that you had not connected with me, we would not have established this relationship, and that would have been an opportunity lost, right? So that's why it's important to build relationships. And I'll tell you this off the back foot. In terms of all the projects that I've worked on in my life, all the professional opportunities has always been building relationships with people. Yes, you have Facebook advertising for visibility and Instagram advertising to push your work, but the majority of my clients that I've worked with has always been word of mouth or references, the majority of which. One or two are through advertising. I would not lie, it does work, right? And it does work well, but the majority, at least within the context of Trinidad and Tobago, the majority of my opportunities have always been through interacting and networking with people. Of course, COVID-19 has put a stick in that, but for me personally, my strength is really interacting with people. So when I'm in a social situation or in a business situation, I'm better able to communicate with someone in terms of what I do, how I do it, why I do it, and why I love it. All right. So it's easier for me that those things roll off my tongue when I'm speaking to a person individually. But digital does provide some form of opportunity, but for me personally, the most effective way to really get clients and really start networking is to really start networking with people. Meet with them, understand their skills, have an understanding of what they do, and figure out how they can integrate with what you do as well.
You really helped me with my victim mindset. Why, Mike? Why this not happening like that?
when people approach to me and say, Shahad, what kind of consultancy you running? I say, I run a big consultancy. It's big, it's huge. You understand? We're making money. So you have to have that kind of mindset whereby you don't see, because that's a mindset that I had when I started, that I run this small consultancy. I work with small, medium businesses, which I do, but I do not want to continue with that mindset because it would negate me from actually getting real opportunities that can really propel myself forward and also learn a lot more about what I can do and what I can handle. So you don't have a small viewership. When someone asks you about MikeTT, you have to say, listen, MikeTT is one of the best online talk shows right now out on LinkedIn, on Facebook. You need to check it out. Yes, we have the best coming on. We have public relation practitioners, we have lawyers, we have entertainers that are coming on board, and we want to share all the industry secrets, and you need to be a part of it. That's the kind of attitude that you need to adopt to really push your brand forward, right? And it's saying it with conviction. You remember, the idea of small and big is subjective. One might be small to you, right? One might be big to someone else, right? So 10 might be small and 10 might be big to someone else, right? So where does your subjectivity lie? What is the target for what you would consider successful? Does it mean 10,000 viewers, Mike? Is it 100,000 viewers? Every new viewer is a big success for your show. Right, and that's the kind of mentality you have to look at. Remember, I was having the conversation about my Connective Pros blog, where we've been sharing a lot of material, and I've been doing it for about consistently once every week for about I don't want to give you a wrong figure, for about 7 months. Right, in the first 3 months, the viewership on these blogs were 12, 10. Right. One day I got 200 views randomly, and then thereafter my viewership has been moving up from between 50 to 150 per blog. Right. That is an increase. That is an improvement. Right. And through that consistency, I have people visiting the blog to read about what I have to share. So what I've been doing has been working. Right. And every time I got a view that I couldn't account for on my blog, I was very excited. And it's the reality. I was really excited. I was like, people reading, I'm so thankful. And, it really builds. I'm not talking about thousands of views on my blog as yet, but I'm telling you that I will get there. And that's the kind of mentality you have to have.
Shahad, you definitely inspired Mike, and I've loved this conversation because Mike is a global podcaster bringing the Caribbean voice.
Exactly. That is
the international audience.
Yes, that is the course. That's the mindset.
And I love that you said that, because I'll be honest with you. I have a lot of friends on Facebook who have been messaging me on the side and saying, Mike, why are you doing this thing? Why, Mike, you need to do some funny videos. You need to show. And I don't need to stand up in a jockey shorts to make you laugh. Yeah. To make you come to watch the show, because as you rightly said, and then you give me conviction as an online podcaster, that my strategy is different, and focus on the strategy. The strategy works in alignment with the content.
Right.
And don't let the content go out of whack, as I will say, because a specific audience asking for something different. And as I rightly just say, because we're big podcasters into the international world, I have fans in Japan and things like that.
Exactly, yeah.
A Japan man might want to see me in my drawers.
No, it's true. It's true, and it's really about and you won't believe that mentality would really change the way in which you do things. When I started Connected Pros, I was doing a lot. I was doing the most, and a lot of people really was not taking me on. A lot of people had a lot of different things to say, but I already knew what I wanted to encapsulate in my mind about what I wanted, and I stick true to what my strategy was, which is bringing qualified and experienced professionals together to provide services to small to medium businesses at a reduced cost, right? And that's really what my model started off as, right? I've even had big names approach me, and we've denied them because they wanted it at half the price that we were proposing, the bigger corporations. And my target is really just trying to network with people who are professionals, such as yourself, who could come on board and, get consistent work at reduced prices, because it's more about a sustainable effort as opposed to, all right, let's pay Mike $100,000 for this project. It's more working with small to medium businesses so that they could understand and realize that they have the capacity to venture into digital media marketing. And it's not expensive because Connected Pros has broad professionals who are willing to work with you at reduced prices. And that's really what I'm trying to succeed at.
Man, Shahad, this was definitely an interesting conversation. One I take away, they say that was just pertinent, just kind of recapping in a one-word summary. It was the two words, is the knowing your value. Mm-hmm. That's, I think that was what you just was trying to say and trying to integrate that. And the other one that you were saying for even your own format and even for mine, which I think I actually did good with it, was part of what I did on LinkedIn was my main mission is actually to build relationships through content like this. And now we have a relationship. I know if I need any professional help in terms of communication and PR, I know the man who to link with,
Yes. Of course, talk to me. And, I always say that, being a PR professional, yes, you want to help everyone, but it's always good to know when you're not able to and have a network that you could rely on. Because many times, you may approach me with a problem and I will be like, you know what, Mike, I am not sure how we're going to analyze the situation, but let me get back to you. I'm going to rope in one of my other professionals to give me a professional opinion. So, also having that humility also helps as well. So yeah, definitely once you connect with me, you connect with a lot of other people as well, not just me alone. You connect with people who I trust, who I've networked with for the last decade, and people who I have trust in their quality and their assurance. And that's what you get when you work with me: assurance and quality.
And the closing thoughts to my audience out there, going back to the kind of key to why we was doing this conversation in the first place. What are your words of advice to get them start back in a post-positional learning? Because a lot of time we are in Trinidad and Tobago. We finish secondary school, we finish maybe university, we get a nice paying job, we're comfortable. But the pandemic has been such a disruptor. A lot of people are unsure if they're going to continue being able to be employed. What are your words of advice for the continuing learning as we look to close the interview today?
Yeah, I think my advice to any professional, whether you're freelance or an employee, is to continue focusing on your personal development. There are a lot of online courses that you can take, like we were mentioning the Facebook Blueprint to qualify you for the usage of Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. There are also a lot of courses that are very reputable, such as Coursera, and there are even a lot of university programs abroad that I have participated in, whereby they issue you grants, right, to pursue master programs from qualified universities abroad. It's called UNICAF. UNICAF is a great organization. I've done my first degree with them. I'm actually on their second. I'm actually on my second master's with them, and I think there are a lot of opportunities apart from what is local, right? Because a lot of the luxuries we had before with GATE no longer exist, and I think that has been discouraging a lot of people from accessing tertiary education because they believe that there are no opportunities, at least locally, for them to actually afford that. But my advice is that there are opportunities abroad where you can actually pursue qualified programs with reputable universities for you to become qualified. And qualified is one thing, but there's also the University of YouTube, which is one of my most favorite universities.
Knowledge management system of all time, the best.
Yeah, that's the best knowledge management system, and a lot of people do not give it the credit that it deserves. But if there's something that you do not know how to do, it's definitely worth pursuing. And let me just give you a quick example. I remembered back when I used to I used to work at the Environmental Management Authority once upon a time, and I had left. It was just an internship. But because I had experience in communications as well as in environmental, they wanted me to come on board to be a rapporteur for a one-day conference. And they called me on the phone and they asked me, "Hi, Shahad, how you going? You know, we're having this one-day conference. You know, I need you to be a rapporteur for this particular event." And I was like, "Sure, no problem. I'll be a rapporteur. Yes, I'll do it. You know, yes. And then they discussed payment with me, and I told them exactly how much I would charge for the day, how long they would take to get back the script, etc. Right? In the meantime, I had no clue what a rapporteur was at that point in time.
I want to know what the hell is that.
No idea. I had no idea what it was. But I was so desperate at that point in time, you know, to start really developing who I am as a communicator. I was like, well, if it's a rapporteur, because this was like about when I was like 19, 20, 21, I was like, if it's that I'm going to delve into communications, better I take this opportunity. And I Googled it. I Googled what a rapporteur was. I figured out a rapporteur actually writes scripted text from what is being spoken. So it's not direct text, it's not pervade, it's not what is the expression? Verbatim. It's not verbatim, it's not word for word. It's not word for word, but really is writing indirect speech based on what people would have said throughout the entire conference. And I realized that, you know, a rapporteur needs a private space, a recording equipment, as well as note taking, etc. And by the next day, I already had a very good understanding of what a rapporteur does and exactly what to look for. You know, recording the time when things are being said, noting who the speakers are speaking at the time, giving EME instruction that, you know, before someone speaks, they need to state their full name, etc., so that I'll be able to record it. And I did it. For me personally, I think I did an excellent job for not knowing what a rapporteur was to begin with. I mean, I got paid, so I mean, it was a 52-page document at the end. So, you know, there are opportunities to learn. Sometimes you get something that is out of your field. You will not believe how easy it is to access the information. Even people who do not know how to use things like Photoshop and Illustrator to design. Sometimes people learn by, all right, I have this to do. This is what I want to achieve. Let me YouTube to see if I can get the instructions as to how to achieve this particular effect on Illustrator or Photoshop, etc. So, and they do it on a one-time thing. You know, they just design according to what they're trying to accomplish, and that's how they learn. And the information is there. All of the information is there. It's available. You know, so that's how you can learn. You know, learning doesn't necessarily have to be expensive. It could be a data package for 1 month for $150 or $350 or how much ever it is, and you sit down with your phone and you go through YouTube and you learn your courses. You know, there's opportunity there. It's whether or not you decide or choose that you want to take it.
I see, Shahad, you're getting your calls and stuff. I don't want to take too much more of your time, but you remind me of something Les Brown said, fake it till you make it.
Yes, you know? I strongly believe in that statement. Fake it till you make it. And I mean, that's no admittance that I wouldn't tell you that I'm not able to do something. If it is that you approach me and I don't know how to do something, I'll tell you I can't do it. And I'll tell you, but I'll figure out how. You know, so I'm very honest and accountable. I'm not out here to fool or, you know, tell people that, you know, I don't know how to do certain things. But I will tell you that if it is that you provide me with something that I am unsure about, I'll tell you I'm unsure about it, but I'll figure out how to do it.
Thank you, Shahad, once again for coming on Mike on the Mic. This has definitely been the beginning point of a beautiful relationship moving forward. I will be asking you for advice. I will be tapping into your brain a little bit, but also too, you gave me the confidence that we'll fake it till you make it right now for Mike on the Mic and actually getting this done and always be grounded in what you're doing. Has been working and will continue to grow. Thank you, Shahad.
No problem at all, Mike. And thank you so much for allowing me to come on your show, share some insights, share some information. And, you know, if you receive any questions from any of your audience members relating to what we discussed and you're not too sure about the answer, please feel free to reach out to me so that I can provide you with an answer. You can go ahead and provide your trusted viewers with my information as well if they need any help or assistance. I'll be more than willing.
You can give them the social media handles and thing one time. I mean,
so you can actually contact my consultancy brand, Connective Pros, both on Facebook and Instagram, Connective Pros. And you can also email us at info@connectivepros.com. Right?
No problem, Shahad. This was supposed to be, guys. Let me just say it it was supposed to be 7 to 10 minutes. I think we went on to half an hour. And this was definitely a very interesting conversation. I think it's relevant given the context of what we've all been facing here with the COVID-19 pandemic. And the main idea is to continue learning. And there are so many opportunities. Don't be distressed. Don't be depressed. We could find ways to get out of the pandemic together.
Of course. No problem at all. Thank you so much, Mike.